Welcome to this information session by the Cultural Protection Fund. We are excited to be launching new funding rounds in spring 2022. The purpose of this online session is to give a general overview about the Cultural Protection Fund, where we work and what we mean by cultural protection. We'll talk through the eligibility criteria and how to apply, then some information on the next steps if you do wish to apply. There is a more detailed follow-on webinar with application advice, which is also on our website, shown at the bottom of the screen. The Cultural Protection Fund, or CPF, is led by the British Council in partnership with the UK Government's Department for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport, DCMS. It was launched in 2016 to protect vital cultural heritage at risk in conflict-affected countries in the Middle East and North Africa. In 2019, the fund expanded its remit to protect cultural heritage at risk because of climate change in East Africa. The CPF has been awarded further funding to continue until 2025. So in 2022, we're launching new funding rounds for more projects to start in the autumn. The CPF is funded by the UK Government's aid budget, known as Official Development Assistance, or ODA, which means that the majority of the benefit from CPF projects must be in ODA eligible countries. Since its launch in 2016, the CPF has awarded £35 million to 112 projects in 16 countries, protecting a diverse range of cultural heritage, including buildings and monuments, paintings, artifacts, languages, traditions, music and culinary heritage. Alongside heritage protection, the projects provided training and capacity building for heritage professionals and local communities and increased awareness of and engagement with cultural heritage for those closest to the heritage.
These are the eligible countries for the next open calls. We will continue to invite applications which benefit countries in the Middle East and North Africa, with the addition of Algeria, which has not been included in previous rounds. We also invite applications from 5 countries in East Africa, where CPF projects have already taken place. We are accepting proposals that benefit Afghanistan, including those that do not include direct delivery in country. But the security situation is under ongoing review, and we cannot guarantee that it will be possible to fund CPF projects in Afghanistan at the time the projects are awarded. Please note that these are eligible countries for the next call, and there is some scope for the fund to open to other places during the next 3 years. We're currently doing some research and scoping in Pakistan, Rwanda and Turkey. Cultural heritage includes many different things from the past that communities value and want to pass on to future generations. For example, archaeological sites and monuments, collections of objects, books or documents in museums, libraries or archives, historic buildings, cultural traditions such as stories, festivals, crafts, music, dance and costumes, histories of people, communities, places and events, the heritage of languages and dialects, and people's memories and experiences, often recorded as oral history. Projects which aim to protect other assets which do not fall under the CPF definition of cultural heritage will not be eligible. For example, infrastructure such as roads, schools or hospitals, natural heritage such as landscapes, forests or beaches, and contemporary cultural practices such as new theatre, dance or music. All CPF projects must have the main aim of safeguarding cultural heritage for future generations. This includes activities such as restoration, conservation and documentation, and can also include training, education and awareness raising activities, as long as these activities will lead to the protection of heritage. On awareness raising, we encourage projects to include activities which celebrate heritage, such as events and festivals, but as standalone activities, these would not be eligible because of the mandatory requirement to protect the heritage. CPF projects must be protecting heritage which is at risk, either due to conflict and instability or climate change and related disasters.
Our definition of how conflict can put heritage at risk can be interpreted fairly broadly, in that it relates to past, current, and potential future conflict and the instability associated with it. For example, a building that has gone into disrepair since conflict has happened or will not survive if conflict continues, traditional skills that are depleting due to conflict and the consequences of conflict such as political or economic instability or displacement of communities, or intangible heritage which has been suppressed during past conflicts or needs documenting in case future conflict occurs. Unless it can be directly associated to conflict, heritage at risk due to neglect, planned demolition or urbanization will not be eligible. Our definition of the effects of climate change includes events caused by changes to the Earth's climate, such as heat-related damage, wind erosion, earthquakes, rising sea levels and floods, but does not include regularly occurring weather, such as heavy seasonal rainfall, unless this has been exacerbated by climate change. We acknowledge that the risks to some heritage are complex and layered, and could include the threats of both conflict and climate change. Projects need to make the case that there is evidence of the risk and explain the immediacy of those risks to the heritage. Here's a quick recap of the eligibility of Cultural Protection Fund projects. All CPF projects must benefit one or more of the target countries, safeguard cultural heritage for future generations, and protect heritage against the risk of conflict and/or climate change. In a moment, there will be more information on the kinds of activities and impacts we expect projects to have, but first we'll talk a little about who can apply.
We accept applications from organisations anywhere in the world, but if the lead organisation is not based in the country where project activities are taking place, they must have at least one partner organisation that is based in the target country. Even if the lead organisation is based in the target country, we still encourage partnerships where appropriate, because the experience and expertise of more than one organisation can strengthen a project. By outcomes, we mean changes, impacts, benefits, or any improvements that happen as a result of a project. The Cultural Protection Fund has a set of predetermined outcomes designed to measure how a project's activities have improved the safeguarding of cultural heritage. All projects must contribute to our outcomes. Our outcomes are split across 3 areas: heritage, society, and economy, and we'll go through each of these areas and the kinds of activities that can achieve these outcomes.
The first heritage outcome, cultural heritage at risk is safeguarded for future generations, is mandatory for all projects. This can be achieved through physical work, for example repairing or restoring buildings or objects, documentation, making or improving records relating to cultural heritage, or activities resulting in the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage practices, for example the transmission of skills, crafts, or language. For the second, cultural heritage at risk is better managed and prepared for potential threats. Activities could include things like preventative measures to protect against future threats, or the development of plans, policies, or databases. And regarding the third, local organisations and communities have increased capacity or resilience to care for and protect cultural heritage. Activities can include training, recruitment of volunteers, or awareness raising. All projects must address at least one society outcome. This is because, as mentioned previously, there is a requirement for projects spending ODA funding to be making a positive contribution to the social and economic development of the target countries. So to go through them one by one, local people have developed skills, potentially leading to increased professional or other opportunities. This can be achieved through training and professional development activities. This achievement is especially strong if the project gives formal accreditation or increases participants' chance of being employed. The profile of people engaging with cultural heritage is more diverse. We give priority to projects that address this outcome. Addressing gender imbalances is particularly important because it is a legal requirement of ODA funding, so engaging new or underrepresented audiences with cultural heritage and giving proactive support to help people overcome barriers to participation in cultural heritage are ways of achieving this outcome. Local communities have a better understanding of their cultural heritage and value it more. This is about awareness raising, so it can be done through educational activities or events, or even improving communication and interpretation of cultural heritage. Local communities have played a more active role in protecting their cultural heritage or sharing it with others. It is important that CPF projects engage with the communities closest to the heritage, and that those communities have a say in how the project is delivered, so consultation activities or activities which enable people to share their cultural heritage with others will achieve this outcome. The local area is enhanced for the benefit of communities and visitors. Rehabilitating historic buildings for community uses, improving the appearance of heritage sites, or providing new public spaces could all help to achieve this outcome. Then there's the economy outcome. We're interested in projects that support the local economy, which can be achieved through the creation of new areas of economic activity related to cultural heritage. For example, tourism opportunities, or the development of local community enterprises which are based around cultural heritage, traditional products or skills. Or through the creation of job opportunities focusing on cultural heritage.
The next funding rounds will launch on the 25th of May 2022, and the application process will consist of a written expression of interest, online and in English, outlining the project idea and basic financial information. Successful expressions of interest will be invited to make a full application, online and in English, which should include a full project plan, budget and other supporting documents. You can read the full guidance and access the expression of interest form on our website. Either scan the QR code or visit our website address. Both should be on the screen now. If you are interested in applying, we would recommend that you watch the second webinar on making an application for a more detailed explanation of the application process and criteria, and some tips on how to submit a strong application. The first deadline for expressions of interest for large grants will be 30th of June 2022, and for small grants, 5th of September 2022. There will be another round for large grants in early 2023, and several opportunities to apply for a small grant over 2023 and 2024. If you are interested in applying for the Cultural Protection Fund, please read through the full application guidance on the CPF website, where you can also find descriptions of projects that we've already funded, as well as some stories from those projects. The second webinar on making an application is also available now on our website. If you still have questions, you can contact the CPF team by email. Our email address is culturalprotection@britishcouncil.org. This inbox is monitored constantly, and we aim to reply to you within 3 working days. Thank you for watching this webinar and for your interest in the Cultural Protection Fund.